Hey, everyone. Welcome to Voice of the Non-Nation, episode 15. Another milestone, half milestone, episode
Half milestone.
15. Hey, JPN, how's it going?
It's going well. It's going well.
Nice. We're here for episode 15, Tuesday, July 11th, right around 10 a.m.
Yep.
PST. Nice to be with you. I'm sorry I was away last week on vacation, but glad to be back. Seems like there's a couple of interesting happenings going on and excited to get into it today.
Oh, we had a lot go on just this week. I got a couple of things to talk about. Arkham is the big news right now. Our Arkham Doxsylum. They're
Yep.
doxing everyone in multiple ways. We'll talk
My
about that.
God. My God.
Multichain still exploited.
Yep.
Things still happening there. We don't have much of an update, but we'll share what we got. And then we'll also talk about a little more about inflationary NFTs. Gyp, you weren't here. I
Yeah.
ranted on the last podcast and then on a Spaces about this, and I want to see what you think about what inflationary NFTs could look like using the NONnation stack.
Yeah, I'm excited to get some color on that. I've heard a little bit of this and that, and I have to admit I didn't get a chance to listen to last week's episode yet. But yeah, I'm excited to get some color on that for sure.
Yeah, and then we'll round out with I don't want to say the conclusion of the Azuki saga, but the next chapter in it. And they're not Azukis; they're something a little bit different. But we'll get to all of
Yeah.
that here.
Yeah, and let's talk about that ether mint as well too.
Yep.
That was kind of interesting to see. Are degens getting smarter? Is that what's going on here, or have people just run out of money? I can't
Smarter
tell.
or poor is what it's one of the
Yeah,
two,
it's
and
one. It's
I'm
one of
not
the
sure about
two.
smarter yet.
That's awesome. All right, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and kick off with Arkham. Do me a favor. Like I said, I've been totally out of pocket on vacation. Give me some background on Arkham, please.
All right, we'll go ahead and go over here to Arkham. So Arkham, the yesterday at this point, went ahead and announced the world's first on-chain intelligence exchange.
Wow.
And the idea here is you are able to either post bounties or offer information on wallets, on mints, on projects, etc., to anyone willing to pay. And it talks about
Wow.
it here. This was the official announcement um, through Arkham that you can request intelligence on things. Bounty hunters can then submit the intel and earn rewards for it. So this is a marketplace to enable the buying and selling of the information. And then also people who have information can go ahead and auction that off. Um,
It's a
there's
snitch
some other
snitch marketplace, basically.
This is yes.
Sorry, go ahead.
What
Sorry.
so they go on for a little bit more about the details of how it looks, but they're basically saying there's a market for this information. We're just going to be the marketplace for that information. Here it is. Have fun. What's your take on it? Just hot take initial
Yeah,
impressions here.
hot take. I'm not a big fan of Warren Buffett or Charlie Munger, and particularly their crypto takes. But the one thing that I believe wholeheartedly is you show me the incentive and I'll tell you the outcome. And they have oft repeated that over the last couple of decades, and that's a very true statement. And I don't like the incentives that this is setting up. And I do understand that there is a market for this information. I agree with that, but I don't like the incentives that are being put in place for this, and maybe the culture shift that's going to occur because of these incentives. Crypto, for a long time now has had kind of a strong culture of respect for anons, things like that. We saw that
Mhm.
debate get reignited during the last bull run, things like that. But especially the early days, and we're still in early days, but the early days of our space, it was a strong culture, and I see this as something that is trying to erode that, and to try and financialize the incentive to dox, and I don't like that. I don't like it. That's my hot take.
Yeah, no, I think you're in the majority here. And they like some of the examples that they post here, like, oh, trace the exploiter funds, like those seem like they would be, not
Yeah.
bad things. And I
Let
think
me
they're
let me use the examples that put us in the best light possible.
yeah, it's like if you're yeah. So the potential, use cases, the good use cases of like tracking exploited funds, trying to figure out what the scope of like all the Binance hot and cold wallets or something is. Those aren't, too
Yeah.
terrible in my
Right.
opinion. But
Right.
but then you can get into the far more, devious things that can happen
Right.
in here. The downright dangerous things that could happen here, like, hey, here's the wallet of someone who exploited funds from me.
Right.
um,
I want to put a bounty on their safety or something like
on
that.
their
Something
home
crazy. Right.
address. Uh-huh.
Exactly.
um,
Right.
and if you're willing to pay for that, what is like
Yeah.
there's very quickly you can come to a line that should be drawn here of
Yep.
hey, and here, I mean, they literally lay it out. Victims of an exploit may pool resources to acquire intel on the exploiter.
Yep. Look at
What
this. A
sort of
trading
intel?
firm
Like,
may wish to buy out Intel on their own wallet before a competitor finds it. And I guess, that's another thing that kind of strikes a chord in my head. Let's talk about is this going to even be effective, right? I mean, exchanges are big black boxes once, when you send funds to them and things like that. And, I mean, how effective is this going to be? Okay, like, oh, I found Binance's main hot wallet. I'm pretty sure that's pretty damn public information, and people
yeah,
have been tracking it for a long, long time. Like how effective is this service even going to be? Like, I guess we'll find out, because when you create a market and you financialize things like that, then it will be used, and if there's financial opportunity, then it will reveal itself. But I just don't know, like, with everything not decentralized, and you know funds being tracked on internal ledgers and things like that in exchanges, like, how effective is this really going to be? you know
right. And the on-chain sleuths that are out there now, often they'll post on Twitter. The information becomes immediately public.
right.
If they want to share their findings on like, oh, we tracked this hack. Now it sounds like that some of that information may just get bought out and
Right.
then not become public for what was theirs. I think they said 90 days somewhere in here. It's exclusive for 90 days or so. um so when there are hacks, rather than everyone just sort of being told and knowing, they might get paywalled like this. Which
What, like, I'm just curious, like what the address hash is in the smart contract. Like, what happens when you pay an ETH for some privileged information, and the next day it gets some random dude on Twitter just posts it anyways. Oh, I found some funny wallet activity. Like, what
yeah,
happens then? You go back to Arkham and say, what the hell? I paid an ETH for this privileged information, and it was supposed to be proprietary for 90 days. Like, the whole thing just seems kind of silly in my opinion, but you know,
yeah, and the fact that at least if it's exclusively blockchain activity, then you know it's all public anyways, just people finding
right.
it. I don't know.
I don't
It
know
sounds
either.
like, yeah, there might be a little bit of upsides. They are establishing a new market for this, but it's also like this is just going to be used to dox people like a lot.
Yeah. Right.
And
And
I
I guess the proof will be in the pudding, right? I mean, a market is a market for a reason, and what has value will be assigned value. So we'll
yeah,
see how popular this service becomes, or what, ends up happening. But, I don't know. I don't like it. Again, like, it goes back into question though, like, do we see something in the future, some kind of, privacy preserving technology on public blockchains or something like that? I know it's, obviously, we've had the Monero blockchain and different
Mm-hmm.
privacy blockchains, things like that. State sponsors have been very, very quick to, try to put the kibosh on things like that. And there are some people who say, well, there would be quicker adoption of blockchain by corporations, things like that, if they had some layer of privacy on there. Like I know for example, like the Rose or like the Oasis token is was supposedly working with Meta during the last bull run, and maybe they still are.
Yeah.
No endorsement of this project whatsoever, but they're a quote unquote public and privacy blockchain. Like they have a different layer for privacy or something like that. I'm not sure of the details, but I know that is one of their marketing points. And I know that, some people have, said in the past that there would be quicker uptake of blockchain technology by corporations if there was a layer of privacy, that, they could, entrench in there. So it's kind of interesting to see. Um, I don't think this will particularly make anybody more likely to keep their funds on chain if people are paying bounties to, you know.
No.
I'm going through a nasty divorce. I'm going to pay a bounty to find out your wallet, how much funds you're holding on chain, so I can report it to the courts.
It will absolutely be used for that at some point. I
Yeah.
guarantee it. And I get it. If you wanted to hire, a sleuth before, you could do that. There was
Yeah,
nothing stopping you.
true.
But making into a marketplace just makes it easier to do that.
Right,
And
right.
I see a lot of downside that can happen
Yeah.
from this.
Yep.
This isn't
Yep.
the only way they're doxing people, though. Did you? There's something else that was funny when they started this. So with Arkham, there's referral links to go ahead and
Yeah.
get access to the program. Uh,
Hmm.
well, it turns out, and when this announcement came out, a lot of people went on Twitter and shared their Arkham referral links because, big deal. People want to at least check it out, see what things are
Right.
about.
Right.
Um, it turns out that the Arkham referral links had hashed versions of the people's email addresses. Not even like they were
Ouch.
just like the email
Ouch.
address as a string converted to base 64, and then they appended that to the
Yeah. Yeah.
URL, and that was your referral code. So
That is
everyone
so
who shared
dumb.
an Arkham referral code has their
Shared their
email.
personal email address.
Yes,
That is so
whatever they
dumb.
signed up
That's
with.
a big flub. I mean, whoever, hey, I don't even know. Like maybe that's just a data mining thing or a troll. Like, oh, I don't even know. Like that's so dumb. Whoever put that system in place, like, wow.
It's just
That doesn't give me a lot of confidence in the service. I'll tell you that much.
right. No, and it's like, oh gosh, this is like the easiest thing to just go ahead and hash that first. You
Right.
know, you know, uh,
Right.
encrypt it somehow
It
before,
seems
and
That
then use
seems
it.
so noobish. Like, wow. Like, did they
Yeah,
say anything about that, or did they make a
yeah. They came
statement on
out.
it?
I think it's another one of their things here. It wasn't their pin tweet here. Uh, this might no. Yeah, on
Oh, there
referral
we
links.
go.
They had a lot of people do it. And yeah, it's been publicized that our referral links contain a base 64 encoded version of their email address.
Yep. Yep.
They talk about, oh, this was at the start, and this is just amateur hour stuff here because
It is,
no,
especially
even
for
if
Web3 and
yeah,
crypto.
if they encrypt it, they can unencrypt it. They still know who the referral links were for. This is
Exactly.
just
It's a
lazy.
total BS excuse. I mean,
This is
it's
just
just total CYA. Like we made a dumb mistake, and they're trying to, look at them trying to, make excuses like, oh, well, at the time, they were released, it was really small. As the user base has grown exponentially, we should have changed it. Like, no, you should have. Oh, I'm sorry. Like, we didn't adhere to basic standards of, privacy protection, you know, in the beginning.
Yeah,
We should have done it after. Like, no, that's terrible in my opinion.
just it's just wild that like this is this is the state.
Yeah,
We're gonna make
yep,
our docs information exchange and then dox everyone who refers to it. It's like, oh my
right. So
gosh.
look at this statement. Our industry has been plagued with bad actors who survive by hiding in the shadows. Crypto intelligence brings them into the light, and that's what our platform and research have always done. And it's an interesting statement. You know, whatever position you take on it, it's an interesting statement. I mean, does sunlight disinfect? You know, possibly,
Yeah.
right? I mean, if there's more, you know, and we'll see, you know, how, you know, the whole crypto intelligence, you know, sector, as it starts to spin up, you know, what it does to the ecosystem. I mean, um, you know, I know that, you know, like, you know, we've been looking at, you know, and recently signed up with like a marketing service, and just, you know, looking at, you know, like, okay, like how many users are we tracking? How many, you know, all these kind of things for like SEO and stuff like that, right? And it's you know, it's kind of interesting to see this crypto intelligence services kind of spin up. It'll be interesting to see the effect on the space, whether it has a chilling effect, or, you know, maybe it will have a positive effect, and, you know, people will think twice before they, you know, exploit the next bridge for $100 million. And what am I going to do with that money once it's sitting in a wallet, right?
Yeah.
I can't
And
do anything with it.
right. And some of this is also going to be, you know, how well they moderate it because this
Yeah,
is it's I believe, and I'm not positive, but I think it's going to be
yeah,
permission where they're going to be able to look at listings. There's a way to at
right,
least slash. There was some
right,
sort of staking and slashing involved. So it
right,
if they moderate it well and they
right,
make it so that you can't have listings for things that are, you know, potentially illegal, stalking kind of
right,
things,
right.
then maybe, you know,
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm sure
should
they've got a pretty
get
robust, you
good.
know, terms of service.
Yeah.
Hopefully, you know.
But it's gonna be really interesting to see how this plays out, and what the information exchange is gonna look like. So
Right,
it's interesting. I
right.
don't really
But
like
yeah,
it on first glance, but we'll see. We'll
yeah,
see.
yep.
I think
And
it's a little
and
too early to judge.
and again, if, you know, if the incentives are there for perverse behavior, right, moderation is not going to stop it. You know,
Right.
it's not going to. They'll be playing whack-a-mole, and they'll lose that battle every single time if there's,
Yeah.
you know, financial incentives the other way. So interesting case study. Let's watch it throughout the next couple of months and see what happens, because I'm quite frankly interested. Right? Is the space, you
Yeah.
know, ready for this? And, you know, we'll see. So,
And I
but
believe their launch is next week, so we'll follow up in a few weeks on the podcast. I think
But
they said
that
July
was a dumb
17th.
thing with the email, and they should have came out and they said, you know what, we screwed up. That was dumb. That was
Oops.
you know, exactly. That was a big oops, and, you know, we're sorry. Instead of trying to cover their butts, you know, that doesn't hold much water with me, and that's not a very good sign of confidence. So,
Yeah.
all right. So
Moving
let's,
on.
yeah,
Next big story, and we talked about this a little bit on Friday, sort of
Mm,
as it was starting, is the multi-chain, formerly AnySwap, hack. And the latest updates we have aren't new, but the latest one is multi-chain stopped service on their bridges. They suspended everything, but they have no plans to resume. So multi-chain is in case you know its name doesn't give it away, it's a multi-chain bridge where multi-chain takes the initiative to deploy on a bunch of different blockchains,
yep,
and then they solicit other projects and say, hey, do you want to be cross-chain? Well,
right,
you can partner with us. Like, we will
yeah,
deploy your contract on the blockchains that we're on, be the minter, be the burner, and then communicate to like your home or native blockchain where your assets started on. So
they have a proprietary bridge or something, or
yeah, they are the bridge.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yep, yep. Makes
So
sense.
they offer to be bridge, and then I think, and part of the reason it's they still say any swap is I think the assets bridged are like any USDC. So
Yeah,
it's explicitly like, oh, it's USDC, but it's been sent through
on
this
Tron or on Ethereum,
bridge.
right?
Yeah.
Side note: I like multi-chain way better than any swap. Way better, in my
Right.
opinion, for their product.
No, it's a great name. Uh, not big on the tech here right now because it was towards the end of last week. They, in fact, July 6th here. They said that funds have been moved, and I
Oh,
think
look at the meme.
yes, yes.
Sorry, it's
This
hilarious.
is
If
this
you've
is the
seen the
meme of the
video,
month
it's
here. This is the meme
hilarious.
of the month.
That is hilarious.
But Multichain came out and said, "Hey, don't like." I think it was like nearly half their total value locked. Like $120 million worth of assets were extracted from the bridge, moved to other wallets, and then they mostly sat there. And the thing that's sort of the most disturbing about this is no one's really said how this has happened. No one's really said who's done this. No one's really come out and has
Inside
really
job?
any information about this.
Inside job?
It's not impossible. The this is I believe this is the second hack they've had.
Oh God.
Another one was about a month ago.
You know,
It was during
this bridge joke that I used during the last segment, I mean, it's a running joke at this point, right? Bridge, you know, it's just a joke. I mean, how long until we say Ethereum is the blockchain for financial activity and we just build on Ethereum and keep it going through Ethereum? I don't like multi-chain.
yeah,
I don't like the concept of multi-chain and, you know, this, you know, transferring all this through the chain, through the bridges. So,
right.
because we've
Well,
seen this happen too many times. It's
yeah.
happened so many times now. It's a joke at this point.
It is, and it sounds like these, bridges where you can get onto all these, obscured new blockchains. This happens a lot, and I
Yeah.
mean, as I was saying, they've been exploited a month ago, and I think it was during that one that they tried to reach out to their CEO, but they can't actually reach the CEO to do any sort of maintenance on their
Wow.
servers and do upgrades and stuff. And there's some speculation that the CEO has been arrested and
Mm.
is in jail right now. And so,
Centralized.
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. So this has been an absolute mess. There's a couple of assets I know that have used this to some
Yep.
degree, and the any assets, the multi-chain version of the assets are beginning to depeg. There's USDR, which is I think Polygon native. It's on Optimism and a couple other chains. It's depegged on some of those other chains a bit.
Yeah.
Dollar, another stable coin. I think they at least have some native on Optimism. I think they're native to a couple other places too, but they had bridged versions of it on the Binance Smart Chain, and those were depegged by like 50% for a stable coin.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I want to say, like, I don't want to be a hypocrite. Like, I use bridges to optimism, things like that, to shuttle back and forth between, you know, layer one and layer two, things like that. I've never had any issues. You know, I can't remember off the top of my head which bridge I use. It's bookmarked and I use it every time. But you probably know the main one there. But anyways, you know, it's just sad that all this is always, you know, happening to user funds. I mean, these are people's, you know, lives that are just, you know, going up in smoke, and user fund, you know, funds being extracted. You know, we're so used to hearing about it that like the real toll that it has on people is, you know, is probably being overlooked. But man, that's sad. I mean, 120 million or 60 million of assets, you know, being extracted, that's rough. I
yeah,
feel for those people. um, so I don't know. But you know, I think what I'm seeing here and what I hope multi-chain will do is to take the velodrome approach and do a deep dive post-mortem and do a real investigation and be extremely transparent on what happened and what they're going to do to resolve it and how they move forward. And if you have any confusion about the best way to do that, go back and look at velodromes, you know, post-mortem after, you know, the what happened with the inside hack, you know, from, you know, Gabagool, who was a buddy of mine, right?
hmm
And you know, and how they handled that situation. I mean, as professional as you could expect. And I mean, way above and beyond compared to what we had seen in the space before. And I just hope that they're on that level of transparency And, you know, if people lost funds, that, you know, maybe they at least get an explanation of what happened, right?
Yeah.
Because way too, and maybe that plays into, you know, the previous segment with, you know, crypto intelligence and things like that, on-chain intelligence. You know, maybe it will be, you know, kind of a, you know, it won't put a stop to it, but maybe it will make, you know, people think twice about exploiting contracts and things like that. So
Yeah. So I'm not. I've become less optimistic that this is going to be resolved nicely. Again, they were
yeah.
hacked a month ago. They couldn't reach the people to actually, you know,
Oh, it
figure
was
out
a
what's
month
going
ago. I'm
on.
sorry. I was thinking July 6th. Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah. So
That's
now
crazy.
we're July 7th. We're 4 days out from the most recent hack. 4 or 5 days out from the most recent hack, and just radio silence here. I think there might be some stuff in their Discord, but it doesn't look real good right now.
Yeah.
And it, again, with assets depegging, it means there is, you know, people are understanding that there's a risk holding these bridged assets right now. This
Yep.
may not be okay.
Yep. For
But
sure.
we'll see.
Yep.
When we get more updates, you'll be the first to know. But for now, yeah, multi-chain. And then I wanted to bring up something, and it's
Yeah.
real relevant in Web3 and crypto Twitter right now, but it was something that actually occurred to me as I was starting to research for this segment and trying to find like these tweets. So I found, you know, the official multi-chain org Twitter account right here. Nice blue check mark.
Yep.
While I was researching, I found this one, multi-chain blue check mark, but it's multi-chain.
Oh,
Posting,
yep.
guess what? Scam links
Jeez.
right here.
And
Well,
look
now,
at the number of followers too, man. That is so sad.
oh look, they're posting more
17,000.
recently than the other one. You know, this one, new tweet here, 13
Click
minutes.
on the comments for me, will you? Click on the comments. I hope so.
Oh,
Oh, they
comments are
disabled
disabled.
comments. Wow.
Comments are disabled. So
I'm gonna
yeah.
go in and report them. That's just so ridiculous.
But I mean, if you look, if you scroll down past these couple, you see that this like used to be just someone's Twitter that got
Yep.
bought out.
Yep. Right. Exactly. That's
There's
crazy, man.
pictures over here that are just like random memes and
Yeah.
pictures that got
Yeah. And then
shared.
all of a sudden, yeah. Oh
Be
gosh.
very careful if you're looking up
Yeah.
anything on Twitter now. It used to be if you saw the blue check, you were pretty good, right? But
Yeah.
now, oh gosh,
Now it's the
Elon.
gold check, right? That's what we have for
Yeah, but
right?
other
But
protocols
I
aren't
agree.
paying
I
for it.
agree. There's not going to be people. Yeah, yeah, yep.
Yeah, some
Oh,
are. Like if you go over here, Galaxy has it, but
yep.
other ones don't. And it's
Right.
just like this blue check
Yep.
doesn't mean what it used to mean. So if you were in that mindset of like, oh, I see the blue check, I'm okay. Ignore that. Look for other signs, and don't click on links. You got to be real
Yep.
careful about links. So this is public service announcement. This has popped up a lot recently. I've seen Optimism has actually had some issues with it with their various accounts. Velodrome on Optimism has had issues with it. Where there's
Yep.
other ones that have blue checks that look really, really close, and they're scammers. So
Yep.
be careful with your funds. Don't go clicking on links. And if people are saying you'll get stuff for free, don't believe it. Don't believe it. Here, they're like, here,
Yep.
receive now, get new funds, compensation program that's fake. It's a scam. Don't click on these things.
Exactly. Wow.
Yeah.
It's sad, man. It's like, you know, it's such amazing technology, and yet the financial opportunity just brings out the worst of the worst, and you
Mm-hmm.
see the grifters of the grifters in this space, and it's really sad to see.
Yeah.
So, anyways, all right, what do we got next? Let's move on to our next segment.
Let's talk about. We'll talk briefly about the those two new NFT projects that dropped.
Yep.
That we were alluding to, and then I'll get your thoughts on the inflationary NFTs, and then we'll wrap it up.
Yep.
But first, the new inflationary ones, and I thought this tweet captured things real nice. Like 2 weeks ago, we were hyped for the Azuki events and all these other things. Ether, that other big one, and the big thing right now, the new big mint is Fatzuki, which This makes me laugh. The art just makes me laugh. I think it's funny.
Yep.
It's the Azuki style, but they're all rather chubby and eating donuts and other things, which is just I think it's funny. Uh,
Yeah.
but it's like the things that were hyped, like the new Azuki's drop, the Azuki Elementals drop.
Yep.
That was a hyped event.
Right.
And we've talked about that some already. But Gyp, are you familiar with how that went down with the
I am.
Elementals?
Yeah. I
Okay,
am. Yeah. With changing, a little bit here and there, or reusing artwork, things like that.
yeah, and
Is the
$40
OG
million.
collection? Wow. It's
They
crazy,
extracted
man.
$40 million from their holders to give them basically the same artwork, which it's so bad. But yeah, the other one was the Ether drop. That just happened yesterday at this point, I think.
Yep.
And this is
Yep.
one, the story is they went from a 10K collection and then that wasn't selling very well. So they cut it back to 5,000 collection. It
Yep.
still's not selling well. They cut the price. It's trading below floor. It was basically this hot mess of, a very well marketed, hyped up NFT drop that I think they were charging like 1,500 or so to mint. I think
Yeah. It was. It
yeah,
was right around point 0.8 ETH. I think it was.
fifteen hundred
Yeah.
dollars or so, roughly, and absolutely just did not mint out. It really seems like
Yeah.
NFTs, the market for them's changing, and like what is acceptable and what people are looking for in the space is changing. We went
Right.
from big hyped collections, and the Suzuki one kind of pushed some people over an edge. Uh,
Yep.
it,
Yep.
it sort of pushed the NFT market into a bear market, really.
Right.
I
Right.
mean, the floors on all the big NFT collections, they took a real beating over the past few weeks.
Did they really? Yeah.
I
And I
mean,
think it's
yeah,
in the ever ever going quest to to find true value in the space. I mean, people take risks, but they've been burned so many times, right? That they're becoming pretty sensitive, especially when you get a mint going for like point ETH, right? What was the Ether collection? Was it 10K?
it was supposed to be 10K. They had to cut it back to 5,555, I
That's
think.
ridiculous. That's just ridiculous, right?
And even then, I
Um,
don't think it minted out.
right. No, I don't think it did either. And I'm not sure if people are getting smarter or they're just too poor to go after it, but hopefully it's the former and not the latter. And and
Yeah.
who's the team that ran the Ether mint?
Oh, that's good.
Why are they calling it Ether?
Project Ether NFT. I think this is it. Maybe.
Yeah, I think that's it too,
Or
because the
I'm on another
logo.
scam account. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know anymore. Blue
It's
check,
hard
no
to
blue check. It doesn't really, yeah, it doesn't really.
yeah, it's hard to say, but hopefully it's the former and people are getting smarter. And I
Yeah,
heard that this was a resounding failure, and
it sounded like it. Yeah.
which I'm happy to hear. But I heard the team still pulled in over 1.5 million off the mint, and cost them very little. And it'll be like most other NFT
Yeah.
charts where it will be, over the next couple of weeks, it'll bleed out. First couple of people in will maybe make something. It sounds like they won't, because obviously it didn't mint out and there wasn't enough hype. And but yeah, it's just kind of sad.
Yeah. And I think really it's that price. It was 0.65 ETH. Here it is.
0.65.
They cut the supply. Their pre-sale was did not get there. Their public mint so did not get there. I mean,
Good
this is
job, people.
of a 10K collection, just over 2K minted. So,
Yep. Yep.
ooh, that's
Good
brutal.
job, people. Yep. That's interesting.
There's a bunch of other stuff, but
Oh, can
anyways,
can we can we read that one just real quick? Just that juicy gossip. Just go up just a little bit.
oh
Right
here,
there. Decision. Oh, no, just the whole tweet itself. Just click it.
oh
Just click X. An update. The decision on how Ether will move forward is made. Teams working nonstop to update the back end. Yeah, so I mean they're already having to pivot, right? It sounds like they pivoted once,
yeah,
obviously, from 10K down to 5,555. But hopefully, people are getting smarter, and these people who just want to make a quick buck and then watch the value bleed out, and yet they walked away with millions.
Yeah.
Hopefully, they get what's coming to them.
And they
So,
paused the public mint because there was no demand.
wow.
Oof.
That's terrible. That's like unprecedented, man. I mean,
Right.
that's like, trying to avoid shame, but you're not doing yourself much favors there. So,
I felt like there
yeah,
was something else did this at one point, and for the life of me, I'm not going to remember what it was. But it
yeah,
was somewhere else that they're like, yeah, we're going to mint a whole bunch, and here it is. It's up for minting, and then it didn't do really well, and they just took it down and said, sorry, bye,
right.
and that was
Yeah,
that.
actually, that happened to me with a gnome. I can't remember the gnome project in like 2021, November
Uh-huh.
2021, right before the big snowpack uh, rug. I can't remember the ice. Something I can't remember.
Oh, mhm.
But yeah, that was like sitting down at Thanksgiving dinner and got rugged
Oh,
for like
dear.
10,000. Yeah,
Oh,
made for a great dinner. But anyways, yeah, and here's the thing, right? And how this ties back to non, right? It's like, it's just like when people are always looking for real value, right? And creating real value, right, is something that non does, right, in the
yeah,
ecosystem, and it's just going to be a different paradigm. So, I think that people are, as we can see from what's been happening with this, people are so ready for that. So,
yeah.
so we'll see, but very excited for the launch, of course. But yeah, that's crazy, man.
Yeah.
I hope
So
they continue having to pivot into oblivion. Just pivot right on out of the space.
we will see
If
this
you don't want to
pivot on
be
demand.
here and add real value, and you're just here for a quick buck, goodbye.
Yeah.
You know.
And I think,
So
these NFTs that are, just profile pictures, there's some value in that. I think people like them. They're collectible things. But
yeah,
if your NFT doesn't really have
right,
utility, everyone else, you can just get minted into oblivion.
yeah,
Other things are going to come up, other things.
right,
If you
right,
have utility with it, of some
right,
sort, like I know bands, they came out with NFTs and they're like, oh, if you're one of our
yeah,
fans, you hold this NFT and then you get, priority tickets for our events.
yep,
You
right,
get first crack
exactly.
at
How
tickets.
many different copycat collections have we seen, or derivation collections, things like
Yeah.
that? Just diluting and
Just
watering
saw one.
down and it's just so easy to do. So
Yeah.
yep.
But
So
then, okay, so I've talked about it quite a bit, and I'll give you the short pitch of like inflationary NFTs.
yeah,
Um, what we saw with the Azukis and the Elementals was basically, an immediate 100% inflation all in one go. They doubled the
yep,
supply of essentially the same token,
yep,
wreck the value of it. Um, so, is there a better way? I know some other
right.
projects have experimented a little bit with this, but I think it's criminally underexplored.
Hmm.
Like Nouns DAO. Do you know how
Yeah,
they inflate their supply by one a day, and the
yeah,
new randomly generated one goes up for auction,
yep,
and then every day there's a new one.
yeah,
So in that way, they are inflating their supply slowly,
right,
but also adding to it so that more people can hold one of these and be part of their community. The community can
right,
grow over time.
right.
So my
Yeah,
question is there, because that's a cool experiment with it, right? Slowly
right.
inflating the supply. Can you do something similar with non? So say, I think the example I gave was, imagine you have a 10K collection, okay?
Hmm.
Pretty standard.
Hmm.
You start out with 5,000 of them, and
Yep.
then every month you have some sort of monthly inflation that drops another 100 of them.
Hmm.
And by doing so, you get 50 months of runway of some sort, 50 months of new ones hitting the marketplace.
Right,
So you get 4 years where new ones are going to enter, but it's, a pretty slow inflation rate. I think 25% that first year, and then it gets a bit less from there.
right. Yeah,
And those that sort of thing could be really easy to build on the non-stack. The fact that you can go ahead and have, we already have the treasury splitter. It already does, it moves finances around once a month, does this thing. It can mint new tokens. Our
hmm,
daily inflation can mint new tokens. Those could be NFTs. You could just
right,
mint another 100 of them, have that be the address that can mint them. You can even have them be wrapped as deck items and deposit them immediately into a liquidity pool to, you know, one a day. So you'd have, oh goodness, I don't know, you know, 2, 3 a day or so.
Right.
Get at it, say
Right.
3 a day. That is something that could very easily be built with a non-stack. You could slowly inflate your supply and sort of get this,
Yep.
you know, once a day hype event going on. You look and see what the new ones were. Oh, is it a higher rarity one? Should I go ahead and swap a floor one for it? What should I do?
Right.
Am I looking to do that? Should I be LPing then? Should I have, you know, a deck item ready to go to unwrap to one of these new ones? It's a
Yep.
source of revenue. It's a source of excitement, and you are able to inflate the supply in a way that is slow and predictable, sort of like Nouns DAO.
Right.
Have this slow, predictable one where you can add holders over time, but you're also not, you know, just diluting people 50% or 100% in a single go.
Right. It's actually a really good idea. It's really novel. It's really cool. I like that a lot. And yeah, you're right. The possibilities are kind of like endless there. Um, that's really something cool to explore. I hope somebody kind of takes that idea and runs with
Yeah.
it.
No, I think, and there's a lot of different exploration. You could do different, you know, different rates. You could do different types of
Yep.
drops, whether they're auctions. You could build an auction portion for
Yep.
it so that, you know, once a week, say you have, you know, an auction go live for a half a dozen of these or 2 dozen or so,
Yep. Yep.
and set them up. And then you have things that happen, you know, predictable sources of revenue. And you can even
Right.
have, you know, say artists or something be working on some of these over time.
Yeah.
So you don't have to have the entire, you know, 10K collection ready to go on day one. You have the first,
Right.
the first couple thousand done or so, and then you slowly work on things over time
Slow. Yeah.
as you get feedback and people say, hey, I really like this one, this is a really good one. Well, let's make, you know, a few more sort of along that style. Let's
Right.
experiment a little bit. Let's let the collection, you know, sort of grow organically
Yep.
over time while adding holders, and also
Mhm.
not really diluting people down. You know, have it be
Yeah.
very, very predictable and inflationary style
Yep.
mechanic.
For sure. For sure. No, it's really cool. Really cool thought, really cool idea. Like I said, I hope somebody, there's just endless possibilities, right? I mean,
Yeah,
I think that that's, and it's kind of sad to see why we don't. And this is the thing, right? It's like we see so much chasing after the fast buck in this space, right? That it's like, people don't even think about things that like novel approaches like this. It would really create value, right?
yeah,
It's just like, I mean, who's gonna go? I don't know. I don't know who's still buying 10K profile pic collections, these
gosh, no.
days, and just but maybe there's some folks, but mix it up, do something different, right? I
Yeah.
mean, that's Apple is think different, right? And like or wait, is that Apple or is that IBM? I can't remember. I think
Apple Think Different,
it's Apple.
because
Back
IBM
in the
was,
day,
yeah, IBM
yeah.
was Think, and so Apple came
Think.
out and said Think Different.
Yeah, no, that's right. That's right. But like here at Non, like in the Non-Nation, like we are trying to reimagine the concept of value in the space, like kind of from the ground up, and how you keep value within an ecosystem, and how you build and create real value and real, functioning enterprises and businesses and things like that on chain. And so, yeah, like we're not following the traditional playbook, and we're not here to make a quick buck. I mean, these structures that Vaza has been dreaming up, that Ale talked about. I mean, these are governance structures, and things that have been dreamt up for years.
Yeah,
And from the ground up of if you had to build a structure this way, what is the best way that it would function, right? And
yeah,
then go set out on that and build that, right? As opposed to, oh, this, whoever's doing this, and why don't we just do a little sidestep and innovate this way? No, it's like
yeah.
we're trying to build the best from the ground up that will allow real value to flourish and to be captured on chain. And that's something that's different than the way the space is right now. And when launch comes, I think people are going to find that pretty attractive and take to that. So I'm
Yep.
excited to see it. So I'm not all against inflationary NFTs, but I think it has to be, again, it has to be done for the right reasons and for the right incentives.
Yeah.
And, you know, if it's about growing community value and adding participants and allowing people to get into something special, right? You know, at a rate that doesn't just completely dilute and devalue other community members, because, you know, in at the end of the day, right? I mean, you know, all of these tools, all of these mechanisms, they're all just human coordination, right? Like bringing humans together to like create something special and things like this, right? And so, I think that, you know, there's ways to do it, obviously, and there's ways to not do it. And what we see time and time again is ways to not do it. So, and that's why, you know, every existing DAO. I mean, I don't know how many DAOs are still active these days. How many DAO participants are still active these
Yeah.
days? You know, because you know it was just a quick buck run, and people, you know, I think people had the right intentions. They wanted to be part of these innovative new structures and you know and see, you know, how human coordination could go in them and things like that, and these, you know, these kind of flat horizontal structures. And I think they were close, but you know, I think we're going to nail it. And so I think it's, you know, I think it's you know, we're not ready to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Just because it didn't work with the way it's going on just means we need to change the way that, you know, some of these tools work and things like that. So same thing with NFTs.
Yeah. And great things are going to be built in both of those
Yeah.
spaces. And
Yep.
I hope they're built on the non-stack here. Once that's
Exactly.
released, they're very powerful tools to build, you know, very complex, but also very, you know, systematic structures here.
Yeah.
And
And that's the
that
thing,
will
you
happen.
know, is yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, we will see that. We will see that
Yeah.
happen.
Yep.
And we have the platform to enable it. That's why
Yep.
we're here.
And that's the thing, you know, is as much as we're turning on the marketing and things like that, and as much as we're going to be able to market, and this isn't really much of what we're doing. This is kind of the run up, but you know, the tools are going to speak for themselves, right? I mean, the buzz, you know, when people come and they see the power of the tools and the power of the platform and everything that they can do just clicking together, like, you know what I mean, like it's going to sell itself, right? I mean, we're going to do the marketing, we're going to put in the legwork, things like that, but at the same time, right, like as much as OpenSea could market themselves and things like that, I mean, it really started to take off when people started using it, you know what I mean? And the same for Uniswap and things like that. And word of mouth in this space travels fast, very fast. And you know, I think it's going to be good times in the non-nation.
Yep. Well, I gotta
So,
get going here.
yep, same
We'll wrap
here.
up here for
Yep,
today.
yep,
And yeah, this should
sounds
get
good.
posted here in just a few hours. So
Yep,
if you're
yep,
watching it still Tuesday, thank you.
yep.
And we will catch you next week on Voice of
Episode
the
15.
Non-Nation.
Yep, episode 16 next week. Take care, everyone. Bye.